Hi everybody, welcome back to Gen Con. We're doing another interview today with NerdyCity's very own Megan Jaffe.
Hello!
So, you have a new product that just kickstarted and
yes,
and successfully.
It's fully funded. We are taking advantage of Kickstarter's new late pledging though to keep it going through the end of Gen Con and a little bit beyond. And we've been honoring any stretch goals that we hit during that, because it's honestly, this one is my baby. So I'm like just trying to get there, but like within another week we'll stop and then we can really get started on production, because I'm excited to get this project underway.
So Holomatixx though comes from a universe you've already built other games in.
Yes, absolutely. It's the second book in the Radical Shadows universe. So technically, it all starts off with RememberX, which is our original nostalgic property of suburban 80s horror, where you devise your teens or your kids and the quiet suburb or town that they live in, and you have to solve the mystery of what the strange, what the weird thing that is happening in your town is. It's your Stranger Things, your Kids on Bikes, Carpenter. Where we've gone from that is the Radical Shadows series, which delves into the toys and cartoons specifically. So the mystery is solved. You know what the weird thing is. Our first book was Commandroids, which is transforming robots in general. Obviously a love letter to Transformers, but also to Voltron and Robotech and all of those. And now our next book in the series is Holomatixx, which is fashion dolls, music videos, just in itself a love letter to playing with pink aisle toys and putting on your best your best music star outfit and lip syncing along with your favorites.
How did you become connected to the 80s nostalgia that you've put into all these games?
So we're 80s kids. We're younger Gen X, and it's always been a thing. And there was a lot of inspiration around a certain time. We talked with the people who did Home by Dark, Kids on Bikes, all of that. There was a lot of inspiration there. And we have a lot of affection for that kind of analog video media, and both the tropes of it and the stories in there, and also the sense of hope. That was endearing at the time. One of the things I love dearly about RememberX is that's one of it's kind of the manifesto of the book, is that there's comfort in the mundane, there's hope for the future, and a kid with enough heart can do anything.
Were you inspired by, so there are other games that I thought of that made me think of it, like Tales from the Loop.
Yes.
Very 80s nostalgia.
And all of that was independent. We have actually done a panel with a bunch of those guys, because a bunch of things came out at the same time because we were all just inspired. We actually wrote RememberX on the drive back to New Jersey from Gen Con in 2016, 2015, because we're okay, what is this town? What is this perfect suburb that we're imagining? Right. And then we start doing deep cut references to different things, the Chinese restaurant is the Wing Kong, which comes from Big Trouble in Little China.
Right. Nice.
And even more obscure stuff, like the record store is called Medusa's, which was an all ages club in Chicago in the 80s. And stuff like that.
Remember all ages clubs? It's funny, there really aren't many anymore.
I
but
know.
There was a time
I
when
honestly,
it was a thing.
I feel like that's something that's missing from the world. Kids of all ages.
Yeah.
That is actually something I put into Holomatixx. Right. Is the Rec Center, which is this all ages club that is a safe spot for teens. Things that we feel like there could be more of in the world. That's a lot of these games.
Another game that came to mind, although not related to the era, but related to the pop star thing, was Glitter Hearts, which is a beautiful game too. I don't know if you've
I haven't seen that yet. No, I'll have to check that out.
Great.
There is a bunch of rock and roll games out right now. There's Rockstar 1977. Yeah. Before that, there's also Gutter Punk, which is an awesome game with the Work and Rasp people.
You're hitting at the right time, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, they there's a lot of people who I feel that people write games about things that inspire them. And I feel like there's a lot of people who are turning to music these days, and both in nostalgic ways and also just like in the power of music itself, that are bringing that into game design.
So when you went to design Holomatixx, having already started the beginnings or the inklings of the world you were in, how did you expand on that into Holomatixx and the pop mentality of it?
So it's funny, Holomatixx actually started even before we made Rememberx and Commandroids in the series. My husband, who is like the other half of my company, or started the company, ran a game called Illuminati Groove, which was this 70s based, like dealing with 70s tropes. And we always talked about doing a sequel to it called A New Wave Order.
Oh, makes perfect sense.
So then when we started doing Rememberx and stuff, we're like, oh, well, we gotta bring A New Wave Order back. And then that turned into, because I have this love for Gem and the Holograms and like for kid video, and just I grew up with the music videos and the music. I had older sisters, so like all of the records and like the hottest stuff was around. And yeah, that became the second part of it. And we have a whole toy box universe planned. So these are the first two. Next one is going to be Myrmidons of Valkyria, which will be your sci-fi barbarians, your He-Man, She-Ra, Thundercats, right? And then the final one will be Rainbow Riders, which is your prismatic animals, your My Little Pony, your Care Bears. One of the interesting things about the universe is it does have sort of an underlying darkness / horror element, because as adults, you're revisiting these properties, but you kind of need the stakes to be raised. Because...
Wow.
Yeah, they're into it. Because it's not the same to just say, oh no, I'm gonna remove all the color from Colorton that it was at the time. So with Commandroids, we delved into Cronenberg a little bit and explored some of the body horror inherent in like the transition of like man to machine, that sort of thing. Yeah. With Holomatixx, it's kind of going into the dark side of media. So we're talking about Carpenter. They Live is a strong influence on our villains for this piece. The compellers, the people who are like, the money and the capitalism that is taking the soul out of...
Greed is good.
Yeah, exactly.
Gordon Gekko's famous line.
Yeah, and also like a little bit of Dario Argento as well, just for like the color and the drama of it. There's definitely some inspiration from Suspiria and some of the other Giallo movies.
Do you have favorite toys that you brought in that like you had then that you like, this has to be in it?
Oh man. It's been really interesting. I played with my friends' Barbies and Gem dolls way more than I did my own.
Yeah.
But part of what I've been trying to bring to Holomatixx is that there is a certain unhinged quality that I have found, probably not universal, but common amongst young femme children growing up playing with doll toys at that time. Of like, these are toys that are meant to be dressed up, and like you do social play, you do family play. We did some unhinged shit with them. There were murders. There was a lot of like pushing off of cliffs.
You went full Toy Story.
Yeah, absolutely. I haven't Toy Story, but like taking this sort of soap opera stuff that was around the edges of our lives and exploring that through toy play. And honestly, the writing of Gem and the Holograms itself was crazy. The Misfits, I still maintain, did more property damage than Cobra through their entire run. Pizzazz would have Cobra Commander shaking in his friggin' boots. And we've been going to like toy conventions with these as well, which has been super fun. And like they have a lot of the old writers. Like Christy Marks wrote half of my childhood, and I didn't realize that until later. She wrote for Gem, but she also wrote for Transformers, G.I. Joe, like all of these stories. They had people from Marvel and from Sunbow like getting some real stuff in. And of course, not all of it. A bunch of it is schlock.
Yeah.
But there's still enough of it that it's become sort of this, like a mythology of sorts. I actually refer to it as plastic mythology, of these toys and cartoons from the 80s that have like gone on to be this pantheon of sorts of like of heroic figures.
I remember even when Star Wars had come out, all the little action figures, they became like a monstrously big thing, and they came out of nowhere. Like, boys were not playing with those. They had G.I. Joes maybe, but the action figure thing.
Kenner changed the game. Kenner changed the game with the Star Wars figures, and like honestly, props to Toys That Made Us. That show has informed a lot of all this, because like we're still learning things about like how that all went down, and like the different things that went into the stories and the building of it.
So what are some of the really exciting mechanics to the game that you think make it really unique and interesting in its own sort?
So one of the things that was really important for me for Holomatixx specifically is that in all of our games, we have relationship tables, because with a sort of mundane setting, you're not meeting for the first time in a tavern. You know each other. So it's rolling up like, do you know each other from childhood? Are you in a relationship? Are you on a sports team together? It's like setting a context for you, and setting a social context for your characters to be able to play off of. With Holomatixx, we're giving you extra choices for that. So you can also, like, you and like your players and the GM can kind of tune the game from the start. Like, do you want to do some more cozy game that like the drama stakes are lower, and like you just want to like play around with being candy colored pop
stars, push the darkness to the edges more.
Do you want to raise the drama? Do you want it to be like gem level, like, you know, there's twins, or like you're an orphan who inherited a company, like
that's funny.
You know, like that kind of drama.
Exciting.
And like some of the even higher end, we're going to have a satanic panic level where like if you want to like embrace the horror aspect of it, and like some of the darkness that comes with performing, and like that level of stardom.
So it's from the sounds, it is more of a narrative-driven game than a mechanics game.
No, we're very focused on narrative. The system we use is our own. It's the Omni system, 6-sided dice. Sean described it perfectly earlier. It's kind of a synthesis of West End Games, Star Wars, and Fiasco.
Okay.
Of like the 6-sided dice pool, but then also like building this sort of relationship web and having the really narrative-driven aspect of it.
Do players take on archetypes, or do they build a skill set?
Absolutely. So you have three stats: your type, training, and talent. And that is your initial kit. Your type is your archetype. We go with the classics. There's nothing if we don't commit to the bit. From Breakfast Club, it's the athlete, the princeling, the basket case, all of that. And then you tweak that with an adjective. So it's like the unhinged basket case, the spoiled princess, something like that. Your training is what you know. So we've had like video arcade hustler, or like art school savant, like that sort of thing. And then your talent is what sets you apart. A lot of times what we use is just a quote from a song is popular, like Born to Run, Rainbow in the Dark, Material Girl, that sort of thing.
Does it help to have the other games in the series, or is it standalone?
It is totally standalone. However, what we're looking forward to doing material for eventually is to be able to really embrace the toy box aspect of Radical Shadows, so that you can have your Transformer playing with your Gem Doll, playing with your He-Man, playing with your My Little Pony.
So eventually there will be a toy box set.
Yes, exactly.
Of all of them.
Yes.
So when do you do actual plays or anything, or stream games, or do you work with people?
We've done some streaming. I have some links online. I ran Holomatixx as a streaming actual play for Rook and Rasp. They're super cool guys. And we did a podcast for RememberX. That is something we haven't been able to keep up just because there's only so much time.
Somehow we're limited to 24 hours a day.
Yeah, exactly. But it's always something that we're interested in, and we do try to run the games as much as possible because we do feel strongly that you should run the games that you're making.
Yeah.
Because you learn so much that way.
Yeah.
Every game is different. I do. I just I did 2 here, and we did years of it before that, honestly.
Cool.
And just refining what the different things are, different terms for stuff. People are like, well, this part's confusing. Okay, we'll tweak that. And that eventually got it too. Because, again, like I was saying, a new wave order has been a concept for a long time. So that, the process of getting that to this final project, has been long and has involved a lot of testing.
As a theater kid,
yes,
have you brought your theater kid ideas into the game too?
Absolutely. Just thinking of the fashion of it. One of my favorite parts of running the game is what I call it, everybody's magical girl transformation, where they describe their persona, their rock star selves for the first time to the group. They describe themselves as their teen selves first, but there's always this moment of spotlights on you. What is this incredible creature that you have envisioned?
Right.
And that's great.
Do you remember color forms?
Yes, I do.
That'd be cool for you to have color forms in the back of the book so you can have your characters.
Man. I do.
Sorry, you're making me think of all these things. I was like, if I was playing this, I would be doing this.
I know, right? I plan to have paper doll aspects of it.
Love it.
So that there's a whole section on your accessories and your kit, and I want the art for that to have the little tabs on it, and then put it all together in a PDF, so that if you want to, you can cut it out and do paper dolls with the stuff that's in there.
I mean, even in, I don't know about the 80s, but I know in the 70s, people used to share patterns for Barbie doll clothes.
Yeah, I have patterns for Barbie doll clothes. I sew for a living. That's cool. That is what my theater kid life has brought me into. So that's my day job.
Is there community building around this where that kind of nostalgic play and connection is happening?
Yes, definitely. And I mean, we started it with RememberX and kind of kept it going. And like I said, there is also a wider sort of nostalgia as genre community out there. And we've also embraced the toy fandom communities themselves. We've gone to the TFCon, the Transformers conventions, the GemCon. That's been amazing. I got to meet the box artist people and the product developers.
That's amazing.
Yeah, no, it's really cool. And some of them don't really know from gaming, but the passion is there and the interest in the product is there. So especially since we are doing a game that is meant to be easy to pick up. We get a lot of first-time gamers at our stuff, which is always a delight.
Yeah.
Love that for people. Right? I had someone in my last game who was all I don't TTRPG very much, I'm not sure. And both my other players were no, we got you. We're all going to have fun. This is going to be great.
Would you say your game is better for one-shots, mini campaigns, or really long campaigns? Like a D&D game, there are people who play for multiple years.
That's true. Honestly, and this is partly personal preference, long campaigns are tough, especially with modern schedules and all that. A lot of the way, because we have an ongoing player group, shout out to ZealZaddy, you guys are great, that we run all these things with, but we do a rotating set of the games. So we'll do Command Droids for a bit, and then we'll do Holomatixx for a bit, and then we'll play test one of the new games and bring it back around. But like it is difficult to keep a story going long term. There's absolutely like, we pack these things full of way more lore than I think anyone will ever realize or notice. So it's definitely, the material is there to have a longer running game. But I personally think that, like, you know, try it as a one-shot. Do a smaller campaign. Rotate your games out, because that's also just so many games in the world.
There are. And a lot of them have been done by Kickstarter lately. So,
yes, absolutely.
So what was your experience with Kickstarter? How did that... Is this your first Kickstarter?
Oh, no.
All of them?
We've actually been doing Kickstarter since like the late aughts, early teens.
Wow.
Our first one didn't go off. The next couple we worked on were part of another company that we were originally attached to. But yeah, we did our own Kickstarters as NerdyCity have been Roleplaying, RPG Nasty, which is, again, it's another retro thing that is a one-shot horror game.
Okay.
Everybody dies at the end. It's based on the video Nasties. It's exactly what you think it is.
Yeah.
Commandroids, and now Holomatixx. Did we do another one in there? No, those are the four that we've done at this point. And we'll continue to work with crowdfunding. It honestly keeps the wheels spinning for the indie game industry, because you're able to, even if you have a completely finished game, like, it's a good setup for pre-orders and all of that. Yep. And if you do need to do the funding for like more art and for editing and layout and all that, it's super helpful for all of that.
Yeah, I think it's actually funded the golden age of role-playing games. It's created.
Absolutely.
And board games, to be honest.
Absolutely. That and print on demand.
Yeah.
Like, and I know it's like a more, as you get bigger, you do tend to do a print run from an offset place because it's cheaper, but like, just having that ability to not have to get 1,000 copies that you then have to put somewhere, plus being able to fund it is changed the game as far as entry level to being able to make a game.
So where would anybody that was interested go to either find Holomatixx or find all of your product line, or know about you?
We're NerdyCity on everything. You can find us through NerdyCity on Kickstarter, Instagram, Facebook, Threads, Blue Sky. We don't have an open Discord yet. We have one before we're running games. We don't have an open Discord yet. Oh, and on Tumblr. We are on Tumblr.
Wow. That's cool. That's pretty nostalgic. You have a MySpace?
I really love Tumblr. Oh my God. I thought there was a comment this morning about how they had played how someone had played in one of our games at Gen Con, and it was like, I didn't realize that TTRPGs could be fun. I'm like,
wow.
I love you. Who hurt you? Let me at him. Also, come to the indie world. We got you.
Yeah.
And also, you can find us on DriveThruRPG. That is the main place. And we are available through ACD distribution as well. And just like while we are here, we are all of our books are at the Indie Game Developers Network booth, 132.
132.
Yeah,
nice.
They're great. That's been a huge help for us because it's like a business association for indie game developers.
Right.
It's very much rising tide helps all ship. It's been super helpful. Yeah.
All right. It's been amazing meeting you. I actually now I want to play it. So thank you for giving me a few minutes to talk.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for talking to me.
Nice to meet you, Megan.
Nice to meet you.
Bye. Well, thank you for joining us.